of your life. Everyone's life has a want. Repeat after me. Everyone's life has a want to it. Everyone's life wants something. And there was a yearning to it. I am what my beliefs, I am what my life is wanting. And it says, and my life's habit will determine or manifest the quality of that belief without struggle, regardless if it's good or bad. And so all of us have to, number one, interpret what our life is wanting. How many of you have actually interpreted what your life is asking for? Everyone's life has a want to it. I want you to write this down. My life has a wanting, and that wanting is my belief. Just write that down. My life has a wanting. There was a yearning in everyone's life. And we could say this and this and this, but you have to be able to interpret it. So write it down. My life has a wanting, and that wanting is my belief. Okay, my life has a wanting, and that wanting is my belief. Number two, we have to interpret that want. How many of you have interpreted what your life is yearning for? Because our habits in life is a reflection of what our life is wanting to be done. It's a reflection of what we're wanting. Our habit or the momentum of what our life does, our habits, our rhythm is a reflection of what it wants most. Okay? Number one, my life has a wanting, and that wanting is my belief. Number two, have I interpreted that life's want? Now, I'm going to tell you something, and I'm not going to hold you on long. Remember, those of you who are parents, when your child was a baby, and you could hear your child cry, and you would look at that child, and you would say, I think she's hungry, or he wants to be picked up, or he wants to go outside. Now, the degree of intimacy that you had with your child determined how you would interpret the cry. How many of you understand what I'm saying? The level of intimacy that you have with your child determines how you understand the cry. Sometimes if a stranger came and heard you cry, heard the baby crying, they say, the baby's crying, somebody better come get it. But you knew the cry based on your intimacy with the child. And so you would say, he's hungry. When the child, you would get your finger and stick it in the mouth, and if they suck the finger, and you say, yep, they're hungry. If they were crying and you picked the baby up, you would say, yeah, she wanted to be picked up. So I'm going to ask you a question. How many of you are so intimate with your life that you could interpret the yearning of your soul? You know, my soul needs this. My soul is looking for that. Some of us say, I don't know what I want. I'm just confused. I don't know what I want. See, the degree of intimacy you have with your own life determines your knowledge of it. And you will always put your life in the right place because you can understand the cry of it. How many of you are intimate with your life enough to interpret its cry? By a show of hands. Thanks for being on, Sherry, Chari, Shanice, and Moselle. Blessings to you and Barry. How many of you are intimate with your life enough to know this is what it's wanting? Sometimes we are distracted because we don't know what our life wants, and so we're just hitting and missing, and we're going here and we're going there, and we're getting in this relationship and that relationship, and we're doing this and we're carrying on here. But how many of you know this is what my life wants? Because when you don't know what your life wants, what's up, Audrey? And love your work, girl. When you don't know what your life is yearning for, you will practice with it. And sometimes great distraction and poverty and frustration comes when we practice with our life because our life is our child. But when it's crying, we don't know what it wants. We don't know where it's asking to go. The fulfillment of purpose is when you know where to place your life based on interpreting its cry. I am what My beliefs believe. And the belief is not the rhetoric in your mind. I am what my wanting is. My beliefs is the proper interpretation of my life's wants. That's my belief. A lot of us know things that we don't put our life in, but we know information that we won't give our life to. But whatever your life is crying for, are you intimate enough with it to know this is where I should place my life? This is where I should put myself. Because you are so intimate with your child, you know it's hungry. You know my life wants to go outside. My life is thirsty. My life wants to go and look at the lights. My life wants to go here, and my life is telling me, bring me here. If you're going to really fulfill purpose, you have to know how to interpret the hunger of your life. How many of you have interpreted the hunger of your life? Are you intimate enough with your life to know this is what my life is looking for? This is what, because whenever you give your life what it's looking for, it satisfies it and it fulfills it. And so sometimes you say, I guess I'll give it God. But if your life wasn't looking for God, you won't be satisfied with God, even though you're receiving truth from God. See, sometimes we feel that God is automatic because it's God. And sometimes based on our degree of intimacy or the lack of intimacy, that will determine how much God satisfies it. Based on our degree of intimacy or lack of intimacy. Your life could be looking for trouble. Sometimes we have drama in our life because we're yearning for it. Because our life, the lack of intimacy with our life will attract it to chaos. The lack of intimacy with our life will cause us to put it in dangerous situations. Why? Because we're not really intimate with it enough to know what it's needing. And so we'll give it snacks. Sometimes drama and chaos are snacks that we would give our life to eat, because our lack of intimacy would make us have quick meals and candy and crunchy things. And before you know it, when you give your life real food, it doesn't want the real food. It wants the crunchy things. It wants the nasty things. It wants this, because we feed our life based on our intimacy with life. The more intimate you are with your life, the more meat you feed it, the more nutrients you feed it, the more divine things you feed it. And the lack of intimacy with your life, the more quick fixes you feed it, the more junk food you feed it, because I'm not intimate with myself. When you're not intimate with yourself, you will give your life over to other people to practice with. When you are intimate with yourself, you will develop your life and raise it like a good parent. How many of you are raising your life like a beautiful parent? I'm raising it. Listen, you are your first child. Before you have a baby, you are the baby. Before you have a child, you are the parent. Before you have a seed, you are the first seed that you need to raise. You are the first seed that needs to be raised by you. The more intimate you are with your life, the more you know what your life is yearning for, and you will place it there. How many of you have ever asked your life, are you ready to go to school? Are you ready to go here? Let's go meet your Father, God. How many of you have ever introduced your life to its Father? Let's go meet your Father. Because you know when your child, which is your life, is yearning for daddy, you say, let me take you. And you won't just take it to church, you're going to take it to your Father. Sometimes the lack of intimacy with our life, we'll take it to religion. And religion would be a babysitter. But when you really know your child is saying, don't take me to the babysitter, take me to my Father. How many of you, your life is saying, take me to my Father. I want my Father to raise me. Don't take me to this movie. Don't take me to this. Sometimes religion could be the movies, a script of make-believe and with fantasy and sounds. And after a while, religion is just a movie, just a dollar cheap thrill, just a party. And your life will say, don't take me to there. Take me here to my Father. See, the least intimate you are with your life, the more junk you feed it. The more intimate you are, you know the cry of it. So number one, what is my life wanting? Number two, have I interpreted what my life wants? And number three, how intimate am I with my life? See, my habits determine how intimate I am with my life. Habits determine how intimate you are with your life. Habits is not just, I wake up at 4 o'clock every morning, I don't bathe. No. Your habits determine. Your habits is the life, the natural life rhythm that determines how intimate you are with your life. Bad habits mean I have least intimacy with my life. Good habits reflect I have a good, intimate relationship with my life. I could read my life. My life needs this. My life needs a father. My life doesn't need this. My life needs my father. My life doesn't need make-believe. But when you don't know your children, which is your life, you feed it quick. Give some M&Ms, give it some fries. When your life is really needing the meat of the kingdom, the meat of wisdom, it needs the balanced diet of God's. How many of you, and I'm going to let you go, how many of you know that your life is needing the diet of God's? I put an S on it. What does the gods eat? What does the kingdom eat? What does it, what's the meat of Jesus? You know, Jesus said, I have meat that you know not of. And it's not church either. It's a consciousness meal. Can your life handle the food of God? Can your life handle it? Not just going to church and not just religion, but can your life handle that meal? How many of you have interpreted enough to know this is what my life needs? This is what my life is looking for. This is what I need. This is what I need. I am what my beliefs believe. I am what my beliefs believe. Your want of life determines what your life believes. Whatever your life is wanting determines the beliefs that's in your life. Sometimes we look at people and say, how can you do those crazy things? Because that's what their life believes. It's not just the rhetoric. I know people who do foolish things who believe Jesus is the Son of God. But just because you have it, excuse me, just because you have a rhetorical understanding that Jesus is the Son of God does not mean your consciousness believes that. Whatever the habits of your life is determines what your life believes. Raise your hand if you understand what I'm saying. Belief isn't here. Belief is consciousness. It's in what your life is yearning for the most. The steak and the vegetables and all, that's good food. But when you haven't eaten good food, you'll want junk. I believe that's good food, but I have no taste for it. When your life has no taste for what it knows is good, it means you've trained it on junk. It means I'm not intimate with my life to feed it properly to the point it doesn't want anything that's inconvenient. It doesn't want masterful food. It's not trained on that. It's not trained to want that. It wants this quick fix. And I will feel damaged, and I will feel manipulated, and I will feel controlled if you feed me something that I don't want. I told you I don't want this. How many of you, your life have told you, I've told you, Undrai, I don't want this. I've told you, Chari, I don't want this. Sherry, has your life said, I told you I don't want this. And what it's rejecting is something proper. Tracy Reynolds, Wanda Farlow, Roberta, have you ever tried to give your life something masterful and it told you, I do not want that. I want something quick. I want something quick. I want candy. I know people who are afraid to be coached and mentored because their life isn't trained to have that. See, the least intimate you are with your children, the more you're going to misinterpret their behavior. Because I don't know you. I don't know you. Renette, it says you're telling your life, I don't know you. You're actually telling your life, I don't know you. I'm your parent, but I'm not emotionally involved with you enough to know what you want. I don't know you. And maybe that's what it means, Sherry, when we read the scriptures and they said, I've prophesied in your name and I've cast out demons in your name, and we stand before God and God says, depart, I don't know you. I'm not intimate enough with you to know you. I don't know. So how many of us, our life is screaming because we don't know it? Because we're still practicing with it